Science here. So in this video I'm gonna talk about Eclipse versus Android Studio. Now Eclipse has been the main IDE for Java programming. You can Java program and you can create Android apps. Now Android Studio was released I believe a few years ago, and it's by Google. It's the IDE by Google. So within the last like 2 or 3 years, they've been phasing out Eclipse. But from my point of view, I think Eclipse is better than Android Studio. Eclipse runs faster. Android Studio seems to run slower. It crashes a lot of times, and of course, I was used to Eclipse anyways, but I just think Android Studio is just slower. But Android Studio is the future of Android native development. And, basically they're phasing Eclipse out of the picture. But Eclipse is still a good IDE to use for Java, or if you still want to use it for Android development before they completely try to phase it out. So right now I'm currently still mainly using Eclipse. I've used Android Studio a little bit, but like I said, I don't like it because it seems like it runs slower for me. And then I was used to Eclipse. So let's create a Java application or Android application in Eclipse, and then let's create one in Android Studio, and then we can see the difference with the speed. So here I'm going to create a new Android application. Call it new app. Next. Make sure you subscribe to Urban Science. This is a new channel, and I will be doing computer science related videos. So if you want to learn how to code, or you're into coding, this is a good channel to check out. Okay, should be almost done. I don't have the fastest computer, but it's fast enough to get the job done. Okay, I believe we have an application completed. A new Android application in Java. I mean, well, in Eclipse. New, and I think it took about 3 minutes. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, let's switch to. So basically, Google has stopped making updates. I think for the ADT, for the SDK manager for Eclipse. So basically, kind of forcing you to shift over to Android Studio. So if you have any Eclipse projects, you can easily import them to Android Studio. It's not hard. But as far as continuing to develop in Eclipse, you can. But Google is going to continue to make that harder because they want you to use their IDE, which I think is Intel. It's created through Intel, but it's Java. I mean, it's Google's IDE. So okay, so let's create a Android app in Android Studio now. And just to compare the user interface, you can see it's very similar. Let's go back to Eclipse. See, you got the file, edit, factor, nav, get the debug, got the stuff over here. Now let's look at Android Studio. As you can see, it's very similar. So it shouldn't if you switching from Eclipse to Android Studio, it shouldn't be difficult. Okay, let's create a new project. My application. Okay. Android Studio uses a Gretto. Okay. Next. As you can see, it's pretty much the same. You got a blank activity. It's pretty much the same when you're going through this initial setup as an Eclipse. Now let's see how long it takes. Another thing I don't like about Android Studio is a lot of times when you first start the application, you'll get like update notices, and I don't like that. So it just seems like a lot of extra stuff that you don't get with Eclipse. As I was saying, this is a great old build. So, that's the difference between the build process between Eclipse and Android Studio. But as you can see, it's still building, and I think it's been a little longer than what Eclipse took. Not that much right now, but I think it's been a little long. On top of being slower, like I said before, it also crashes a lot more than Eclipse. Eclipse doesn't crash that much unless the heap is getting overloaded with memory. But it seems like this Android Studio always crashes. And I know Google is making updates to it all the time, but I don't know how long it'll take for it to get up to par. As you can see, it's still running, so it's slower than Eclipse. Okay, this is still running. It still has two processes running. Haven't really been keeping track of the time, but I'm sure it's been like over 5 minutes. And right now, as far as features, Android Studio has just about the same features as you'll get with Eclipse. Still, I mean, it's not like a lot of like extra new stuff. That's better. It's basically the same IDE, except like I said, it's just slower right now. When you're developing your native Android apps, this can really slow you down. This can slow you, it can slow you down a lot. So the performance is not it's not there yet. See, it's going through a debug. It's yeah. Okay, let's pull up the activity. Main activity here. Okay. Let's go to the layout. We're still doing some stuff down here, and okay, let's get to design view and the layout. That's where we was at the in Eclipse. Eclipse couldn't render this version of of this library because the ADT may not have an update to this version. So as you can see, even with this, it's still slow rendering the graphical user interface layout. Still initializing. Okay, something happened. Okay, so I couldn't render it. Something happened. As you can see, it's a lot slower than Eclipse. So that's my assessment on that question. Which is better for Android development, Eclipse or Android Studio? I think Eclipse is still better right now. But like I said before, Google, since Android Studio is their IDE, they're phasing out Eclipse. So just be prepared for that. Now make sure you subscribe. Urban Science.